So let's take a look at Chapter 16, which is just more of the same. Chapter 16 is classes and objects. So here's the setup code that runs. All right, so we defined classes and created objects that represented the time of day and the day of the year, and we defined methods that perform operations on them. So we're going to go further in object-oriented programming by making geometric objects. So we're going to create a point, which is an XY coordinate in a plane. So here's a class called a point, and so the initialization is going to initialize it as X and Y, and define it with X and Y here. And we're going to have a string function which will return the word point and X and Y here, the way mathematicians often write it down. So that defines a couple of these special methods. And so now we can make a point of 0, 0. That's going to use the init method to create a point at 0, 0. And the print will print it in string form, and the string form writes it this way, point parentheses 0, 0. So that gets us started. And they have one of these diagrams to show you how it works, which it should be clear. Start is the pointer that indicates the point object, which includes both of these attributes, X and Y. All right, so now we can add a method called translate to it, which is going to move a point by distance dx and dy. So it'll just add dx to the x parameter and dy to the y parameter. And now we're going to import copy and copy the start to the end, and then move the end here and print the end. All right, that's one way to do it. So we'll end up at 300, 0. Because we had start, and start was defined up here. Yeah, start was defined at 0, 0. So that was the point at 0, 0. So when you move it 300 to the right, it's now 300, 0. Okay. So you can make now there's two. Translate is what moves a point through an area, but you can also make translated, which will translate moves the point. So you feed it a point, and that one point changes. Translated is going to create a new point at the new location. So it's going to make a copy of it and move the copy and return the new point. That's the idea. So now N2 is going to be start translated by 150, and we print N2. So that's going to be 0, 150. All right, and now we're going to define a line. So you define a class line, which initializes P1 and P2, which, these are points, I guess. The part I don't understand is how it knows their points. We're going to have things called P1 and P2 that come in. I guess whatever they come in here, they're going to be there. So a line is going to have 2 points, start and end point, and then it's going to have a string function, which will be a line from this point to that point. As long as you feed in points, one thing that sort of surprises me is I never tell it anywhere that these had to be points. So I guess you could maybe use this for other purposes, but anyway, it should work on points. So I can now feed in 2 points, start and end, and when I print them, it'll say, line is not defined. Okay, I didn't run this one. Okay, now it should be defined. There we go. So here's what a line is, a point to a point. All right. Fair enough. And so they're going to, I think, make another diagram showing the line object. Yeah, the line object contains 2 points, and each point contains two attributes, X and Y. All right, so you have an object inside an object. All right. Like I said, the one thing that troubles me is I didn't see it tell it anywhere that these had to be points. So I wonder what would happen if I tried to do this. X equals line of 1, 2, where those are not points coming in, and then print X. See what that does. Yeah, it seems to have, there, it worked. Okay, line 1 to 2, that's what I thought. It will just print out line, first item, second item. They aren't points anymore. That's what I thought. When you define a function this way, it doesn't know you intended it only to work on points. You could feed in something else. That implies I could also feed in something like strings. And probably unmatched things like A to 2. See what it does with that. Yep, A to 2. Okay, so it might not make any sense, but the function will still run with unexpected types of data. That makes sense then. You didn't define it. All right. So there we have it, string things and object diagrams. What we're going to do is use the Jupy turtle thing that we used back in chapter 4. So now you can add a method to a line where it's going to move the turtle along the line. And now we'll create a second line that represents the y-axis and then draw them, make a turtle and then draw them. So not as beautiful. I guess it must be the edges it's drawn. All right. Anyway, so if you create 2 points with the same coordinates, P1 and P2, this should not be a surprise. They happen to have the same coordinates, but they don't equal each other, right? Because these 2 pointers happen to be pointing to the same location in space, but they are different objects with different addresses, so they don't equal each other. Now, if you wanted to change that behavior and make these, then you could define a function called equals that instead of comparing whether the pointers are the same, it compares whether the values are the same. So you can override the equals operator with this that will check to see if the x's agree and the y agrees, then it's true. So now P1 equals P2 is true. But the is operator still indicates that they're different objects because you haven't overridden that. And it's not possible to override the is operator. So this is kind of a dirty little trick to understand. You can't override this one, but you can override that one. All right. And so we can make a class that draws rectangles. We have width, height, and corner. So width and height are going to be integers, and corner is going to be a point, I guess, although they don't say that anywhere. And if it was me, I would at least put it in the documentation so I know. But anyway, that's what they've done. So it's going to print width, height, and corner would be a point, so it'll have an x and y coordinate, I suppose. Yep, so we're going to have corner is point, and width and height are just integers. So there we go. Okay, and the following diagram shows the structure of this thing, which of course you have a box, and that's width and height, which are just integer attributes of the rectangle object, and the corner is a point attribute of the rectangle object, and since it's an object itself, it has its own methods and attributes inside it. So you can make 4-point objects to represent the corners. All right. And then make 4 line objects to represent the sides, and then draw the sides, and you'll see how it looks. There we go. That's better than the last one. Last one didn't seem to actually draw this thing. Okay, anyway, so that's the game. And now you can grow and translate the triangle. So this is going to add width and add height to the rectangle. And so here we're going to make a copy of box 1 and grow it and then print the bigger box. And so it'll show us the new box size, and you can draw box 1 and box 2. There's box 1, and box 2 will be bigger, of course. All right. And now you can do translate, where you move it by dx and dy. So you can translate a box, and now if you draw it, it should draw the original one and then one that's been translated. And there it does. Okay. This actually is resized and not translated. Yeah, translate box 2 to the right and down. But it drew this larger one. Let's see if we can figure out what went wrong here. Box 2, translate. We'll translate it to the right and down. Yeah, the corner, it shouldn't have had the same starting location. Looks like some kind of defect in the drawing here. Unless, yeah, box 2 translate. That's interesting. What happens if I do box 1 translate? And line 1 draw. Let's try adding a box 1 translate here. Box 1 translate. Let's just move it 10, 10. And then box 1 draw again. That should give me 2 boxes overlapping. One, the other one should be translated. There, that worked. Okay. I don't know why it didn't have the expected result with box 2, but anyway, that shows the translate is working. All right. And then there's deep copy. When you did copy, it copies the rectangle object, not the points inside. So box 1 and box 2 are different objects, but the corner attributes refer to the same object. That might be what went wrong. That's why it looked kind of funny. That would make sense. So the state of these objects, that's probably why it had not expected result. Yeah, the state of these objects, the corner still pointed to the same location. That's what I didn't expect. When you translated it, it grew instead of translating because the corner didn't move. Okay, that explains it. That's a shallow copy. So if you make a deep copy, box 3, make a new rectangle that contains a new point, and make a deep copy of box 4, now the two objects are not the same. And so now you can translate one and grow the other, and they won't affect each other. And now you'll have the desired effect. One is translated and one is grown. There you go. Okay, good. That explains it. All right. So the draw method, being on 2 line objects and 2 rectangle objects, you can also make a list of objects called shapes, and then draw everything in your shape. And you can have different objects, as you know, in a list can be different objects, lines, and shapes. So that's one way to do it. All right. All right. And that's enough of that. That's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to stop the recording.